Welcome to Module 6. This is the module that keeps your automation from becoming a very awkward meeting with the controller and the compliance team. Up to now, you've built an agent, you've wired it into real workflows, and you've started saving real time. Now we do the most important thing in finance automation. We make it safe. This module is about answering the questions leadership actually cares about. Can we trust this? What happens when it breaks? Who owns it? How do we know it won't make things worse? If you can answer those questions, your agent survives. If you can't, it gets shut down fast. AI agents don't usually fail loudly. They fail quietly, which is much worse in finance. The biggest risks aren't technical. They're judgment and trust issues. Let's start with the big one: hallucinated numbers. LLMs do not calculate. They predict what a number should look like. If you don't explicitly tell the agent, only use numbers from the input file, it will happily invent something that sounds reasonable. That's fine in marketing. In finance, that's a resume-generating event. Policies are often long, ambiguous, contradictory. If two sections conflict, the agent won't escalate, it will choose. That's why we require citations, explicit fallback behavior. If unclear, ask logic. Agents will make assumptions unless you tell them not to. Missing data? They'll infer. New cost center? They'll guess. We design agents that stop instead of guessing. The most dangerous thing AI does is sound confident when it's wrong. So we deliberately teach it to be boring, cautious, and explicit, just like good finance professionals. Here's the thing: you don't need QA engineers to test an agent. You need a finance mindset. We test agents the same way we test reports, by trying to break them. Normal cases answer the question, does this work when everything is clean? Here's an example: a complete data set with normal variances and no surprises. If it fails here, stop and fix it because it's nowhere near ready. Now, edge cases are where agents prove their worth. There could be zero balances, unusually large variances, missing prior month, new accounts or entities. This is where you find hidden assumptions. And then there's exception cases. Exception cases test safety. This includes things like missing input files, conflicting policies, incomplete data. Your agent should stop. It should explain what's missing and ask a human for clarification. Never guess. And when testing, don't just look at the answer. Require the agent to explain what it did, what data it used, what rules it applied. This makes debugging easy and builds trust. Think of guardrails as internal controls for AI. They're not exciting. They are absolutely essential. Prompt level guardrails live directly in your system instructions. This includes things like never invent numbers, only use provided data. If unsure, ask clarifying questions. Cite policy or data source. This alone prevents most disasters. Some guardrails live outside the agent. This includes a human review before final output, approval before distribution, limited permissions. AI assists while humans remain accountable. A one-pager is the document leadership actually wants. Not a 30-page deck, one page. It answers, what does this agent do? What does it not do? Who owns it? And how often is it reviewed? Agents evolve, and that's fine. What's not fine is silent changes. So we track changes to prompts, changes to rules, changes to data sources. Even a simple spreadsheet works. And when leadership asks who owns this, you want a name, not a shrug. Ownership builds confidence and keeps agents alive.
So now we're going to go ahead and prepare a document to sell the agent and all the benefits to our leadership. Whether this is your direct manager, whether this is an executive team, whether it's the CFO, we want to be able to put the benefits in a clear, concise way that demonstrates the value they care about. And now, just like almost everything else we've done in this course, we're not going to do it alone. We're going to be able to do this with the help of ChatGPT. So I've got a prompt here. Now we've got the same Now I've got a prompt here. Now we're still working in the chat thread where we've developed the AI agent blueprint, the system prompt, all of that work for our agent. So we can go ahead and pop it in here because it still understands most of it. So let's go ahead and say this here. Act as a skilled financial analyst. I want to document my AI agent and its benefit for leadership. Using the agent blueprint provided, write a one-page overview and a headline summary. I built the agent in, and this will be in N8N. The one-page overview needs to include the purpose, the owner, the inputs, the outputs, the limitations. And the headline summary needs to include, this agent saves X hours a month, supports Y process, and has Z controls in place. And lastly, ask me any questions you need to give the best possible output. Now, there's one other thing I'm going to pop in here, and that's going to be a request to send this into Canvas. Because like I've been saying, we want to have the tool do 80% of the work, and we want to do the last 20%. And there's no better way to do that than with ChatGPT Canvas, which allows you to edit and create a live document almost like working in Word Online or in Google Docs. You can have a live document, but your collaborator is ChatGPT. So say, please output the one pager and the headline in a Canvas so I can edit. This will allow us to do some edits and then have ChatGPT come back in if we need to do additional tweaks. So we'll send that away and we'll see what we get back. All right, here it comes. Now you'll see it has already set it up in a canvas. So remember, we've been seeing when we get the code node, it does this thing where it kind of comes in a little box. Now, when you see the copy, edit, and download button, that means it's inside of a canvas. So it's populating this inside of a canvas. Here, we're going to see it in the chat, but once it's done populating, we'll be able to hit the edit button and we'll be able to go right in the canvas to work on this document live. All right, we're getting more of our document popping in here. I see most of our one-pagers. We should be there pretty shortly. Here comes in our limitations and our controls and governance, and now it's summarized and said it's all done. Now, the one thing I noticed we're missing is I don't know if I see the summary in here, so we might need to ask it for that again. And actually, Canvas is a really good way to do it. Oh, no, it's right at the top. Crazy Mike. The headline summary is right at the top. It doesn't know how many hours per month, and I'm guessing that's one of the questions down here. Yes, how many hours per month do you want this to claim? So we've got that set up. Let's go ahead and go into our canvas to edit. This is a really great skill to have so you can work dynamically with the tool. So now we're in a canvas. So what you'll see is on the left side, you've still got your chat, just like before. But now in the right side, this is no longer a fixed chat response. We can now type in here. So I can say, let's say this agent saves 10 hours per month, supports month-end commentary. Here's our one-page overview. So like if I start editing this in a way it would be for our leadership, we're not going to need to say things like one-page overview. So I'm going to just say, this will be our executive summary. I don't need to say the one-pager here. And they're really not going to care it's any done. So you see, I can start to edit this, but then we've still got the ability for ChatGPT to come in. There's that. Just kind of tidying things up a little bit. Inputs, outputs, the limitations, controls and governance. And then I don't need this last line right here. And we can delete summary. So now again, how is this different? Well, you've got this great box that will come up if you highlight anything called Ask ChatGPT, and this allows us to work right in here live. Could you please make sure this is framed well for a CFO controller level executive? So I can make this comment and say, hey, I don't know if this paragraph is good for a CFO or a controller. Let's send it away. And it's going to be able to edit just this section for us. So you'll see it's running over here in the chat, but it's also rewriting it right in line for us, just like collaborating in a Google Doc with someone else, except in this case, it's ChatGPT. And it's written this all up for us, except in a way that will be more relevant to a CFO or controller audience. And you'll see you still get the interaction with chat, So it's giving you kind of the questions, it's giving you anything you might need over here, but it's edited right in line. So this is our one-page document. You can pop this into an email, you can adjust it, you can stick it into a deck. Actually, that's a great thing to do here. Let's just highlight this and we can say, ask ChatGPT, so let's go ahead and highlight this. I'm going to ask, let's go ahead and highlight all of this. I'm going to click Ask ChatGPT. This is a really good thing we can do. Can you set this up to be in a PowerPoint format instead of a one-page email? So can you set this up to be a PowerPoint format instead of a one-page email? So can you set this up to be in a PowerPoint format instead of a one-page email? We'll send that off, and it should go through and update everything to be a little bit better for PowerPoint instead of all of these, bullets and paragraphs we've got here. You see it's processing, and now it's starting to rewrite everything. You'll see it's already adjusted. It's saying, hey, here's the executive summary. That's going to be slide 1. So it's rewriting and telling us literally put this on this slide. The same content edited by ChatGPT. And then again, when it's done, you can still come in here and edit it. It's a live document. It's one of my favorite features in ChatGPT, and it is way underutilized. This is the final step before your agent goes live. You complete a control sheet for your Capstone agent that shows what it does, what it touches, what risks exist, how those risks are mitigated. This is exactly the artifact you show a controller or CFO. So now we're back in our regular ChatGPT view, and we want to build a control sheet. This is a step for sustainability, and it's basically creating a standard operating procedure so you can hand the agent off to others. Even if you're going to run it, someone else can run it if you're on vacation or what have you. So this is something we want to make sure we have so somebody else can control the agent and know exactly what they're stepping into as they come in. So this will say, act as a skilled financial analyst. I want to document my AI agent for compliance and handoff. Using the agent blueprint provided, this will be provided above, as well as the audit logs, build the control sheet. I built the agent in N8N. The control needs to include the purpose, the data used, the permitted actions, the risks and mitigations, all of the test cases passed, and then ask me any questions you need to give the best possible output. So we'll send that away and see what we get back. All right, and here comes our control sheet. Now, this is interesting because we last for the Now this is interesting because our last output we asked for it to be in Canvas. It's given us a canvas this time. Always trying to think ahead and kind of assume what you may need based on your prior request. Because again, it's got that context window and it's looking back across all of our previous chats. So in here comes our month-end commentary AI agent control sheet. Here's our purpose right here. Then we've got what it's allowed to do, what it's not. So it's not allowed it to post or recommend journal entries, modify source data, all really good things there. It can't bypass human review. The risks and mitigation, so some of the risks you need to watch out for. Here's all of the test cases that we've passed. So that's fantastic there. And then our auditability and handoff notes. Now it's saying down here, I have 3 quick questions. The regulatory context. Is this environment SOX in scope or SOX adjacent? This will be SOX adjacent. I want to explicitly reference N8N execution logs only. And I want the test evidence to stay on narrative like it is now. We'll send that away. Excellent. And so now it's going right back in because it was a canvas. It's going right back in to edit the original document instead of creating a new one. Again, I really love Canvas. I don't know why it's not utilized more. All right, and there is our updated control sheet. So now this is ready for controller sign-off, internal audit walkthroughs, knowledge transfer if someone else needs to run it. So cool, and all of it done right hand in hand with ChatGPT.
Before deployment, review the outputs, confirm the guardrails, validate your tests, and confirm ownership. Once that's done, you're cleared for launch. When you present this to leadership, don't lead with AI. Lead with the time saved, the risk reduced, the consistency improved. AI is the engine. Outcomes are what matters. You've now done what most teams never do. You didn't just experiment with AI. You designed, built, tested, controlled, and deployed a real finance agent. You can now walk into a one-on-one and say, I built an AI assistant that saves us X hours per month on this process. Want a demo? That's not a gimmick. That's a career level skill.